to the Entrepreneurship Cell orientation session. Today marks a significant moment in our academic calendar as we gather here not merely as spectators but as active participants in shaping of our entrepreneurial future. I stand before you deeply honored to be the lead of our esteemed ESEL, an initiative that embodies our college's commitment to fostering innovation and cultivating the spirit of entrepreneurship. Our journey today is graced by the presence of an eminent guest, the Program Manager, Developer Relations and Head of Google Accelerator at Google India, Mr. Paul Ravindranath ji. We welcome you, sir. We are privileged to have such a professional of a status among us, someone whose experiences and insights are invaluable to our pursuits. In the realm of entrepreneurship, mentorship is key, and it is with great pride that I acknowledge our affiliation with the esteemed ESEL of IIT Bombay, a powerhouse of knowledge and guidance. Today's event is not merely an orientation, it is an opportunity to learn wisdom, to learn from the best, and connect with the broader entrepreneurial ecosystem. It is a formal initiation into a world where creativity knows no bounds and where innovation is the currency of progress. With immense gratitude, I welcome you all to this enlightening session. Let us approach this session with the respect it deserves, engaging earnestly and absorbing the knowledge that will undoubtedly shape our entrepreneurial futures. Thank you for your attention.
So on this special day, I'd like Aishwarya ma'am, Paul sir, Kaushik sir and Sankalp sir to please light the candle.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished faculty, students, and honored guests. I am truly delighted to stand before you to introduce our esteemed guest of honor, Mr. Paul Ravindranath. Mr. Ravindranath is a shining example of what an education from Atria Institute of Technology can achieve. And we are privileged to have him join on a special occasion. A proud alumnus of our very own college, Mr. Ravindranath has consistently demonstrated excellence and dedication throughout his professional journey. His outstanding accomplishment has not only made proudest, but has also gained international recognition, especially in the field of technology. Currently, Mr. Paul Ravindranath holds the position of Program Manager, Developer Relations, and also Head of Google Accelerator at Google India. His remarkable achievements and contribution in this role have not gone unnoticed. In fact, his dedication and innovation have earned him prestigious Google Gold Recognition Award not once, not twice, but thrice in consecutive years. As we inaugurate our entrepreneurship cell today, Mr. Ravindranath presents here holds significance. His success story is source of inspiration for all of us, and exemplifies the limitless possibilities that lie ahead of us. Mr. Ravina's journey has been being a student at this very institute to his pivotal role at Google India is a testament to the power of education and determination. Today, as we welcome him back to our campus, listen to his words of wisdom, learn from his experiences, and draw inspiration. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Mr. Paul Ravindranath, a distinguished alumni and accomplished professor, and a true inspiration for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello everyone. How is everyone doing? I know post lunch is usually not the best time for you to be listening to lectures or any speeches, but I want to first thank the institution of which I was a proud alumni for giving me the opportunity to contribute back to the ecosystem and community here. A word of thanks to Kaushik, Aishwarya ma'am, the principal, of course Manoj and the rest of the ESL team and all the faculty. Really appreciate what you've been doing here, the ecosystem and the college. And it's my pleasure to come here and just spend a few minutes just sharing with you about, a little bit about my journey. But we are here to launch the entrepreneurship cell. It's a very important thing in today's day and age. And I want to cover a little bit about why is entrepreneurship important. We are living in a season of innovation that requires us to understand entrepreneurship well. And you're all tomorrow's entrepreneurs. Some of you are already entrepreneurs, I'm sure. So let's talk a little bit about all of that. So you can go to the next slide. Or we'll pull up my slide. So while I do that, so I have had the privilege of being a part of the college. And one of the classrooms downstairs is when I wrote a test for getting into Google. Google had come to the Atria campus many years ago. Okay? And my favorite story to tell is, often people think that you're from Google, so typically they take people from the IITs and all of these tier 1 institutions. I want to thank the placement officer at the time and the institution, the people in the institution who actually brought Google here. And Google was also very new. I'm talking 2005. I don't even know what you guys were doing at the time. All toddlers. So I wrote this test, and I told this story to Kaushik. I was in the college band. Okay, so I used to play guitar. We had a band called the Mughals. It was funny at the time. But the idea of me liking music actually got me this job at Google. Right? And I just wanted to share that story even before I get into anything else. How many of you listened to a band called Nirvana? Anybody's heard about it? Few people in the audience. Today when I listen to it, it just sounds like noise. Okay, but I love this band, and I love this singer in the band. Right? His name was Kurt Cobain, and I was so much in love and adoration and such a big fan of this singer that I actually created a website for him, a fan page. I said, I like this singer, I'm going to create a fan page. And in creating the fan page, I learned how to build a website. I learned about HTML, CSS, understand HTML, CSS, right? And the exam that I wrote to get into Google was all based on HTML and CSS. Okay? My professor is here, but I was not really good at programming at the time, I must confess. But I was really good at HTML and CSS. And that was born out of an interest that I nurtured beyond what I was studying here in the institute. And in some ways, it's a coming together of me liking something that I really wanted to pursue, music, and the opportunity that was brought to me by my college at the time. And today, I stand here on October 24th, completed 18 years at Google. So that has been, and that's how long I've been. I'm literally an adult in the company that I joined now. So once again, thanks to the institution. So that's me. Today I lead a program at Google that specifically works with startup companies and how to help startup companies build really amazing, innovative products and do that really, really well, right? So I work in supporting and enabling kind of a program for companies both in India and all over the world. So we can go to the next slide. I want to talk to you a little bit about. I know a lot of you have read about startups. We are all in Bangalore, which is the heart of startups. But I want to take some time to take you through a few data points that can underscore why startups are so important. What's the big deal, right? Why is everybody talking about startups and the innovation ecosystem today? And you can go to the next slide. So today, all over the world, India is considered as the third largest startup ecosystem. So the first is the US, and then the UK, and then comes India. We have more than 96,000 startups that we have today, and in terms of value, huge number, $500 billion of value being created. So you can know that being in India and in India, we are at the center or the heart of building innovations or solving for the world. And that's a really, really important number too. We are the third largest ecosystem, and very soon I'm sure we'll surpass that and come up to the second as well. Today, Bangalore is known as the Silicon Valley of India. Silicon Valley is where, in the San Francisco, where we have thousands and thousands of startups, amazing companies being born. And Bangalore, you go to HSR layout, if you go to Koramangala, every house, even a residential house, is registered as a startup. In HSR layout, $3 billion of revenue was realized by startups in Bangalore city. Right? So we're talking about that's the level of startup innovation happening out there. You go to the next slide. If you look at in terms of all startups in India, right? This city, Bangalore, where our college is, accounts for about 67%. 67% of all startups in India are based out of Bangalore city. Right? Mumbai and NCR are kind of following up. I think Delhi is giving us a good competition right now, but the talent and innovation and the computer science and all of the real tech infrastructure that enables startups is still very heavily concentrated in our city. So you can imagine the opportunities that we all have to add to that ecosystem. Right? So Bangalore is about 50%, 48, 67 is between us, Mumbai and Delhi. We move on to the next slide. I wanted to spend a small moment on this idea of deep tech. How many of you understand or know what deep tech is? Raise your hands. Okay. Anybody? Okay, how many of you understand AI? Artificial intelligence. Okay, good chunk of it. Any solution that you use, it could be an app or it could be a business that you have experienced service from. Whenever they use any form of AI, right, you can say that they belong to the deep tech club. Right? That solution or that startup is based on deep tech. Right? So many of you might have heard of generative AI. Okay, let me rephrase it. How many of you use or tried ChatGPT? So you'll probably ask who has it, right? What are you using it for? By the way? You don't have to answer that. But ChatGPT is enabled by generative AI, right? So we have a AI model that is trained on large language models or LLMs. I'm sure that you guys are curious about this. You should be extremely curious about generative AI. If you're not, trust me, you'll be missing the boat. So generative AI is really important in the season of innovation that we are. That ChatGPT and the solutions it can enable can be considered deep tech. Right? So India has about 3,800 plus AI startups. We have so many IoT startups. How many of you don't know what IoT is? How many of you know what IoT is? So we all know what it is, right? IoT is Internet of Things, typically anything that can communicate with hardware or hardware enabled. AR and VR, virtual reality, augmented reality kind of startups, and robotics. All of these different areas together constitute deep tech. Right? And in today's day and age, deep tech is extremely important. Extremely important. Irrespective of whatever branch of engineering you're studying, be extremely curious about generative AI and deep tech. Okay? Because tomorrow, when you all get into the job market or when you all decide to start up, this is going to be an integral part of your solution. And I have supported multiple startups in this space. And I'll give you some amazing examples of how deep tech is enabled. Okay? First one, there's a startup by the name Niramai. And I talk a lot about startups because it's a bunch of E7. Niramai. In Niramai in Sanskrit means being without illness. Okay? Niramai. Now what Niramai does, any of you heard of Niramai here? Okay, you're not heard of Niramai. Any of you here heard of breast cancer? Right? It's one of the major killers, right, in women. Now Niramai has developed, and I must call out the founder's name, Dr. Geeta Manjuna. She's an amazing AI expert and founder of this company. So she's developed a software, right? The software works like this. You take a picture. Typically for breast cancer detection, there is a device called the mammogram. And mammogram is a very invasive process. Often our mothers, sisters, women are not really comfortable with that process. Some of you might have undergone that test as well. But Niramai has come up with an image recognition based solution. So imagine a picture taken and an infrared picture is taken, right? An heat sensitive picture of the woman's chest, and a model is applied to it. And with 99% model accuracy, Niramai software is able to identify early stage breast cancer just by analyzing a picture. And we can run the software on a phone, which means the AI runs on the phone, which is actually extremely powerful. Right? And today, Niramai is there in multiple parts of the world, preventing multiple lives because of this simple AI solution. It's simple in the way it works, highly complex, multiple patents and years of research have gone into building. And an entire ecosystem has supported them building that solution. Deep tech, extremely great example that I cherish every time and I have supported that company with some of the work that I have been able to do. I'll give you another example. How many of you know chatbots? Feel free, like you can just shout answers out of the LinkedIn, right? There is a startup by the name of Wysa, WYSA. You can check it out or download it and use it. Now, Wysa is an AI chatbot. Now it sounds very gimmicky, right? Like chatting with a chatbot. It looks like something you do for fun, to have a fun conversation with a chatbot. But the AI chatbot of this company, Wysa, is highly trained. Right? It's so highly and well trained on language models that it actually is extremely empathetic. So if you have a mental health problem, maybe you're depressed, maybe you have a clinical diagnosis of your bipolar disorder where you have fluctuating highs and lows as someone, or you're having a low period and you just don't know challenges and problems. A simple solution like Wysa's chatbot, if you can chat with this chatbot on your phone and it will engage you in a conversation. It feels like you're talking to a real human. And Vysa will guide you through your emotions. It sounds something that typically in India we won't commit to these kind of solutions. Just look at the number of downloads of Vysa on the Play Store. Can anyone check and look it up? Millions and millions of downloads. And this company, which is a startup by the way, Deep Tech, using AI, has built a solution, and the main objective or goal that this company tracks is number of lives saved. What an amazing goal to have as a company. Number of lives saved. Somebody uses the chatbot, is on the cusp of doing something, of harming themselves, but somehow is able to be pulled out of that situation just with a conversation with the chatbot. And when I worked with them, they were just 6 or 7 months old as a company. Today it's been a few years, and they had already saved 21 lives. This is people writing to them and saying, thank you for this solution. I just stopped myself from harming myself because I was able to just get out of that zone. That's the power of a technical solution, an AI solution. You are studying AI today. You can't see or connect with what impact it can have in the real world. Think of Niramais of the world. Think of the Vysa of the world. Those are the solutions that actually have an amazing real world impact. So I just wanted to make the point that deep tech is important. It's a huge trend. It's not a bubble. And we hear of these bubbles. Suddenly there's a new shiny object, everyone's writing about it, talking about it, putting YouTube videos about it, sharing on Instagram about it. Deep tech, generative AI, is here to stay. Okay? So commit your interests, your time, your learning beyond your curriculum, things like this, because that's really going to open up your understanding and connect you with what's happening out there. And by the way, you can stop me at any time to ask any questions. Please don't hesitate. I just want to keep it really casual. Like, don't look at me like I'm some alien out of the, outer space. Please feel free to put up your hand and ask questions. So we are a club, right? ESET is a club. So let's keep it informal. And we'll have time for questions. Go to the next slide. The second important thing when we talk about startups is, what's the average age of people in India? Sort out the answer. It's on the slide. Right. One of you. What's the average age?
28.7.
28.7. That's an extremely young population. Extremely young population. When you look at the average age of somebody in China, forget China, look at Japan. That's an old country, man. They're like 50. And of course, Japanese folks are known to live much, much longer. But we're a growing population, and our average age is like 28, which is extremely young population. It's an extremely important input when you think about entrepreneurship. Why? Because it's a consumer generation. Every app you create in India today, if it's really good, you have 100,000 downloads in a month. Who are these users? These people who are average age is 28, because they know and understand technology really well. So it's important to understand what we call the demographic of a country like India. So much innovation is possible when the recipient of that innovation understands how to use technology. So this is important. If you go to the next slide. Soon you'll think that we'll be an average age of 50, right? I mean, it's just, we can assess that. But we're going to continue to be a young population. In India, we know that we have a large rural population. People start working as young as 15, contributing income back to their household. So our working population is a huge range, right from a 15-year-old, right, who might be an office assistant or maybe a delivery boy or something like that. So somebody who's retired and still contributing back into the ecosystem till 64. So we have a huge range in terms of consumers of entrepreneurship solutions in India. So that's another important thing. India is an extremely young country. We go next, right? This is an important trend, and by the way, I might be stating the obvious with this slide. It's digitization. Everyone says we are in the digital age. Like all of you are children of the digital age in some sense, right? Look at this slide, right? And focus on the bottom number. Right? This number throughout these 4 pillars indicates what population or percentage of the Earth, the planet, is digitally connected. Huge. Imagine this. Right? A majority of the world is urbanized. That's what it means. Everybody is an urban population. 68% of the world has mobile phones. 68%, that's a huge number. And look at this, internet penetration across the globe. If you just go by unique numbers, 64 plus percentage. And social media users, 60%. What does this indicate? It indicates that the average consumer of a product, of a technical product, technology product, is very well connected to the digital age. And there is one contribution here, which happened 2 years ago. A major thing happened. What happened 2 years ago? COVID happened. Sorry. Pandemic happened, exactly. Now what did the pandemic do? Now the pandemic has actually made innovation much faster. Many of you know what a catalyst is. The chemistry lab used to be that stone building out there. I don't know if it is still the chemistry lab. I've done a lot of tests there. The pandemic was a catalyst. A catalyst of what? A catalyst of innovation. My father is in his 70s. Before COVID, he would use his mobile phone mostly for what? Calls. What else? Think of your grandfathers. Good one. Good one. I think my father is the exception. He's a huge consumer of this good morning.
Music.
Thankfully, that is span forward. What else do you think people were doing, or like senior, super senior citizens were doing?
Music.
WhatsApp. Somebody said YouTube. YouTube is the main thing. YouTube is the main thing. WhatsApp, spamming everyone with good morning messages. Thankfully, my dad didn't do it, but I have uncles and other elders who. Those family groups are muted. But the point I'm trying to make is that through the pandemic, something changed. Today, my father is able to open his app, download an app, install it, register or create a profile with OTP, order something, and be able to receive it. Amazing, right? I'm shocked. The first time I introduced, so I'm a non-vegetarian, right? So we order meat sometimes. So I introduced my dad. I said, "Papa, if you can download this app, actually you don't have to. Store guy isn't open because it's pandemic, but you can order through the app. Why do you want to go out and risk yourself?" He said, "Sure, I'll try it out." So he tried out this app called Vicious, where you can order meat. And next day, this guy comes with 7 kilos of mutton. I was like, "What did you do?" He said, "No, I just ordered it." He said, and he inadvertently pressed that button, add to cart, like a few times extra. Right? It's a fun story, but the beauty of this story is, I'm so happy that he can actually order something by himself. And that is the catalyst. The pandemic forced him to move with the times. The pandemic forced us to think about adopting technology. And today we are living in such a digitized age that the sheer opportunity for all of you to be employed in a startup or a company and enable the digitization revolution is up there. But even more, imagine if you can be the person who can think of that idea or nurture that idea in your mind. Right? I'm sure a lot of you have ideas in your mind that you're considering and just trashing. Right? If you're considering to nurture an idea, start now. Why? You have the right population, you have a digitized world, and you have even an elder population that is now sensitized to digital. Right? And these new people like my father, who have come into the ecosystem of consuming all these solutions, they are called NIUs. Remember this word. New internet users. The new internet user today is highly savvy. Highly in quotes. Right? They can install an app, they can order something and consume stuff. Right? So it's an amazing season of innovation to be in. So as students of technology, you are going to create the revolutions of the future. So be very aware of the world of opportunities that you exist in today. When I passed out, the only social network that was active was called Orkut. Have any of you heard of Orkut? Nobody. Somebody there, I think it's just out of GK, you know. But Orkut was the Facebook of 2005. And it was amazing at the time. There was this feature called testimonials that I would so love it. Just wait for people to write, what do they write about me? And today you have Instagram and other things and everything. It's just amazing how the world has progressed in terms of social. 60% of the world is on social media. We are a digital population. Next slide. Digital public goods will serve as India's startup flywheel for this decade. What does this mean? When my father bought the stuff on this app, how did he pay for it? How do you think he paid for it? UPI. What does UPI stand for? Awesome. That's part of the whole digital public goods infrastructure. UPI has changed the game. So we should be thankful to whoever in the institutional, the government and institutions who was able to catalyze that. We were developing UPI and Aadhaar and all these things for a long time. And then the pandemic happened. So it was, a perfect, in quotes, pandemic wasn't necessarily good, but we were ready for such a quick switch to digital because of the fact we have this thing called DPI, not DPG, Digital Public Infrastructure. Familiarize yourself with DPI, right? The government and India as a country has invested so much into our digital public infrastructure that it's going to be very, very important for you to understand it. Because a lot of the solutions you will build will be enabled by that. If you're building an app or you have an idea to monetize something in your app, how do you do it? You have to do it through UPI, you have to do it through the payment gateways, interfaces. And for you to understand that is very, very important. And remember this next slide, you go to the next slide. Something called the India Stack. Have you heard India Stack before this? Anybody here? India Stack is a huge innovation revolution that was done by the government of the day. It was started more than 10 years back and still continues to innovate. Now look at this digital stack. Right? You have Aadhaar authentication. How many of you have traveled today in the airport and used Digi Yatra? How does that even work? Facial recognition, you just walk into. It's enabled by Aadhaar authentication and deep tech. Remember the AI thing I spoke about? Next, for anybody who opens a bank account, now you have the option of eKYC. Sometimes you can just take a picture of yourself and do digital know your customer KYC verification. You can do UPI transfers in an instant. That is new. But we also had IMPS, instant money transfers. So we understand these things. But these are all enabled by the technology stack that India has created called the India Stack. Without these platforms, we cannot do what we are doing today from an innovation perspective. This has also been a catalyst in helping innovation and students and entrepreneurs and startup founders build things really, really quick. And this is so good that India's model is now being followed by multiple other emerging countries in Africa, Southeast Asia, and many places. So remember, India Stack and about digital public infrastructure plays an important role in any startup solution you build. Whatever you build, if you're going to monetize it, if it requires authentication, if you're working with people, if it's a direct consumer solution, you require people to download an app to use it. You need to understand DPI, okay? DPI and DPI. So this is important. All with me so far? Is it boring? Okay. If you have any questions, ask me any questions, any doubts on this. Anything. It could be anything from the east side to. Okay. We'll have time for questions at the end. India is optimizing to empower problem solver startups. And startups will be the first one to be to catapult the country. It's not like the Googles of the world that will always lead an innovation cycle. Right? It could be a Niramai, it could be a Visa, it could be like something you're thinking of that's a bug in your mind. Some startup idea you think you can build it, you think it has potential. Commit to that idea, write it down, talk to a few people, meet up with the ESL, pitch it. You never know that it might grow into something big like a Google. Right? It's really, really important for you to nurture your ideas, give fuel to it. Don't quell it. Don't say like, okay, I'm not meant for this. Right? And I'll come to that. I'll come to that point at the end on why it's important for you to commit and try. Whatever that thing in your mind, just give it some more fuel. Maybe it nurtures it into a really good startup or a prototype. Worst case, you'll learn something from it. Right? So I wanna highlight that for India and the world to grow, startups are going to be the next catalyst. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to found that startup. Right? We can't all be leaders. We can't all be CEOs. But we will all be important contributors to ideas. Many of you will be CEOs and CEOs. But many of you will also be head of design. Many of you will be application developer for the most important app. Many of you will be, somebody who's a data analyst that will help make a big tech algorithm better. You'll all be contributors to that innovation, but you need to understand this and you need to commit to it. Next slide. Cool. Now, I gave you an idea of the size of the opportunity. Right? It's really important for you to know about deep tech, know that we live in a digitized world, know that we have infrastructure available in India today to enable solutions and to commit to your ideas on how to build them out. I'll talk a little bit, and I won't spend too much time on this, but I'll talk a little bit about what I do. Right? What I do at Google and what kind of value we are trying to create for startups. Now you know why it's important to contribute to startups. If you go to the next slide. This is what I do. Right? Google for startups. What I do is essentially find really great companies and empower them. Right? Find startups that are building amazing solutions. Like the example, I keep taking this example, but Miramai as a startup, we worked with them very early to give them an impetus, and today they're doing good. How many of you used an app called ShareChat? ShareChat. Huh? ShareChat? It's like a social media app for tier 2, tier 3 India kind of. Today they're a unicorn company, which means they're valued at $1 billion. But I worked with that company when they were a student startup. They were a IIT Kharagpur based, born out of the ESL of IIT Kharagpur. Today they are a unicorn company, won more than $1 billion. Not only they have one, but they have formed into two companies. Another company called Merge. If you heard of Merge, you've seen Merge? It's like TikTok, right? It's like TikTok for India. They were a student startup. Right? And within a period of 5-6 years, they're CEOs, CTOs, driving these large organizations with thousands of employees. So my goal is to enable companies like that to do really well, to help them to scale and do better. Right? And Google as a company believes in entrepreneurship. We were entrepreneurs, we are very entrepreneurial mindset. And the idea of this program that I run is to help entrepreneurship all over the world, to blossom, to create support ecosystems that works really well. Yeah, next slide. Doing okay on time? So I won't spend a lot of time here. You just need to remember this. g.course/startup/India. There are multiple programs that we run to support startups in the ecosystem. Right from one of the flagship things we do is an accelerator. And by the way, ESL members, leads, good to check out this link for great ideas of program you could think of running. Right? And even faculty members for that matter. So accelerator program is essentially we take 20 startups, mentor them for 3 months, and then we do a graduation. By mentorship we mean we take a look at their deep tech solution, we take a look at the business side, we take a look at their teams, look at the leadership style, look at the culture of the company, and try to fix what was broken, or we try to add to whatever their plans are. That's an accelerator. There's an incubator, which will incubate an idea, give it fuel, give it nurture, something like what an ESL is. And once you're out of the incubation stage, you're already having lots of users using a solution. It requires acceleration. And that's what the accelerator does. This is one of the programs that I run. We also have something for app-based companies if you're an Android app startup, do AppScale Academy. By the way, this is a really good place for you to learn about building apps on mobile as well. Right? AppScale Academy, look it up. We have a partner program, we have a startup school, which is about a 9-week series on everything about startup. Right? It runs once a year, you can check it out. Women founders is really, really important. Right? And I just want to dwell on this topic for some time. So ma'am, in video, 50%, I don't know what the number is now, but 50% of the pass outs of computer science are women. Okay. But when you look at the workforce, it's 17-18%. So 50% graduates of computer science, but only 17% actually employed in an engineering role. What happened to everybody in between? I'm talking about women. What happened? Got married. What is? Any ideas? Shout out only non-controversial answers. It's an important point. Right? Life happens. Like sometimes women have family and they need to take some time off. But still, that's a huge drop off. Right? And when we look at studies that are done in this space, a lot of the women engineers think working in an IT job or a startup is too hard, it's too demanding. So let me pick something that might be potentially less demanding. And this behavior or choices are also influenced by society at large. Let me tell you, IT jobs, especially with hybrid work, are not that hard. So if any of you have that in your mind, commit to a role or a work in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, maths. It's very important. This problem is a lack of equitable representation of women in the innovation space. Every time there's an innovation cycle. Post-COVID, there's been an innovation cycle, right? I just spoke about all that. If that innovation cycle is not well represented with women, then the solutions that comes out of it will also not be able. I'll give you an example. You all heard of airbags in cars, right? How do they test if the airbag is working or not? Crash test. What do they put in the cars? Dummies. Sorry? Mannequins or crash test dummies. Did you know that till 2011, so like 10 years ago, the crash test dummies was modeled after the male form. Right? So dummy was of a crash is very different for a female form. So we can all say that in 2011, all cars were only half safe because it was not tested on a female form. How fundamentally wrong. And this is not like something that happened in 1960s. I'm talking 10 years back. It was fixed after that. Why did that happen? Potentially there were not enough women in that ideation group when they were building this whole thing up. Women need to be well represented across the whole innovation cycle. Only then we will have equitable outcomes. So women in the room, commit to your ideas, commit to your role. When you graduate, think about contributing strongly in the tech space. It's very, very important. Right? And I was shocked when I saw these numbers the first time that half of the graduates coming out of computer science and VTU, or almost half, are women. But when you look at the workforce, more than half of them are not there in the tech world. Many of them go to HR or marketing, which are perceivably easier. Trust me, they are not. Every job is equally challenging and equally rewarding. So stay in tech because it's very important. All the reasons why it's very, very important. Sorry for that sidetrack on women. I'm very passionate about women, and we have just launched a Women Founders Fund also. So if you're a woman startup who is doing an AI solution, Google will fund you $100,000 for your startup. So we believe that an innovation needs to be equitable. So just a note, side note for all the women engineers in the room. You can go to the next slide. Yeah, I'll just talk a little bit about the program. So the program that we run, the accelerator, we have supported more than 150 companies. I spoke about ShareChat, which is one of the startups that I'm proud of supporting. Anybody used a DriveZ bike? Bike for hire? Or any of these other Magic Pen, which is a review solution. So these are all some of the startups that we supported. Many are unicorns now. And we also work closely with state governments like the Kerala state government, the Kerala Startup Mission, or T-Hub, which is in Telangana, to help startups all over India. And just a quick note, this number is important, right? So whenever you get support from the ecosystem, all the startups we supported have raised about $3.4 billion. It's a huge number, right? So it's important for the ecosystem to support this innovation cycle of entrepreneurship. Next slide. Right. So entrepreneurship at the college, why is it important? So I've got like a text-heavy slide coming up, but I just pick up a few themes from there on why it's important for you all and for the East to nurture this spirit of innovation in the college. So it's important. If you go to the next slide. So you can read through it as I'm talking, but also focus on a few things that I'll be sharing. If you go to the next slide. We have data that says that more than 67% of incubators in India are based in university today, in India. So I run a corporate accelerator that helps startups. But if you do the math, most of the investment of building out startup support programs in India is based in academia. It's based in e-cells. So e-cells are a huge driver. And here are some examples of startups that are born out of university. I spoke about ShareChat. Everyone knows Practo? Yeah. Everyone knows Gen Robotics? Yes? Who said yes? You know Gen Robotics. What is Gen Robotics? It is that and more. Okay? And I have supported this company, so I'll just take 2 minutes. I'm excited about sharing about amazing student startups. When a drain gets clogged in your lane, we all have those lanes, I live in Hebbal, right across. And at the end of the road, there's a BB&B office, or there's BWSP office. I've come there at least 3 times. Why? Because the whole drain, the mori is fully blocked. It's coming out. What do you do then? What do we do? Anybody? Even faculty members who have experienced this? And hope they show up. And when they do show up, they bring this machine and they put this oil and they try to clean the drain. Right? By the way, that's a very recent and innovative way to clean the drain. You know how they used to clean the drain before? Humans would get into the drain and clean it out. We take them for granted, right? There's actually an entire community of people that does only this. Just go in and they clean it out with their hands. And we are living in 2023. This still happens. This still happens. These are called manual. It's called manual scavenging. Very sad and important thing to think about. It exists today in this day and age, where another human like you goes in and cleans it because you can't do it. Machines exist in parts of India, but not everywhere. Jet Robotics, coming back to Jet Robotics, solved this problem. They created a robot that enters into the manhole. It's like a spider. It puts its hands on the walls and slowly lowers itself into the manhole and scoops out garbage, comes out, dumps it out. And that's a robotic solution that is meaningful, addresses a real problem of India, and amazing company. And it uses AI and deep tech to navigate the bot down. And in parts of India, there are actually, the other question is from people who care about employability. What will the manual scavengers do now? Now that their livelihood is taken away by a robot. So this company actually trains the scavengers to operate the robot. So they try and complete that employability cycle. Imagine if you had an idea like this. It's not too out there. It's possible to build. You just need to commit to the idea and work with a team, work with supporting groups like the research. Now coming to the next slide. Sorry. Very good point. Yeah. Thanks, Kaushik, for making it more. How many of you are computer science? How many of you are not from computer science or IT? So, for you, and I went through the whole AI thing, right? Maybe I overdid that, but AI enables things. AI is an enabling layer. Something else has to happen. Like we spoke about IoT. IoT is enabled by on-device ML in many cases, machine learning. Zen Robotics is robot, which is a great robotics example, is enabled by AI and machine learning. The robot knows how to navigate different kinds of manholes. Some are damaged, some are not, some are perfect cylinders, some are just slush. How can a mechanical robot navigate an unfamiliar environment? By feeding it more data to recognize different environments. So for mechanical and others, other departments, the mindset that you should have is, while you're an expert in building out the infrastructure, the hardware, the capabilities of the solution, in that you need the AI and the software layer that, especially now with this deep tech revolution, is what enables precision, right, for your machine to do its job in a perfect way. And I've just supported a company that has built a hardware solution that sits in the grid that determines how electricity can be optimized and so on. So hardware solutions are beautiful because they are tangible. You actually get to feel it, you see it in action. Compared to maybe software solutions that a lot of the magic happens in the background. So, like, this is relevant for everyone. The AI revolution is relevant for everyone. So if you're a mechanical, civil, whatever you are, you need to get on with Gen AI and AI training. Okay? So just want to understand that. Next slide. So I want to spend a lot of time here. I know that we have been talking for a while, but Here are some qualities of a typical founder. So if you're leading a project in your final year, you're a founder of sorts. Right? If you're creating something new, right? You're a founder of sorts. I remember my final year project. I actually did two. So first I went to our Indian Institute of Science along with a couple of my classmates, and we just happened to be there for watching a sporting event at the Gymkhana grounds of IISc, and some of the professors were hanging out, the faculty, and we just struck up a conversation with one of them called Jayant Haritsa. He's a computer science professor in IISc, amazing man. And he said, we just got to talk to him and we told him that like, we're looking for a project. And he said, come meet me in my office on Monday. And I was like, wow, okay. So we went and he gave us a project to work on. He had this whole a priori algorithm and he needed us to do some work on it. So for 2-3 weeks we did that. It was a great learning experience. Another time, what it ended up actually being a final year project was we had an important connect with Philips. Somebody we knew was working there, like from some other friendship network that we had, and we ended up going to Philips Innovation Campus near Alsur, and we ended up landing. We just did an interview with 3 of us. We were not prepared for it. We just shared whatever we knew, and we got it, and that became our final year project at Philips. We were designing embedded software for televisions. How you use the remote on different televisions and what happens inside in terms of the IR responses was designed by us as a team. We contributed to that. So an important part of being entrepreneurial is having the ability to go out and talk to people. You won't believe it, but I was an extreme introvert. I don't like the stage. It takes a lot of energy out of me. That was how I was. And I used music as a way to just get into the sideline. I didn't have that confidence. Now after being in the workforce for many years, I might look like a sorted guy, but I was a mess when I was in college. I was extremely worried. Like even when I used to even hesitate to talk to the lecturers because I was like, I'm not confident, I'm still learning, I'm not sure. My peer group helped me a lot. So find your kind. Find the people you like working with. Find the club you like contributing to. Your safe space. Be there, learn over there. It's important. Go and talk to people. You never know what conversation. You may push yourself. You may be awkward about it. You don't know how to make a conversation. That's okay. But do it. What is the worst that will come out of it? You might feel a little embarrassed for some time. That's okay. But it's important for you to go out there, network, talk to people because you never know what opportunity will come your way. So I'm sure some of you have been consuming this, but identifying a problem and solution, trying to look at how you collaborate to build that up. If I were to give you a clean one thing to take away from here is be bold, fail fast. Fail fast. Try something, but fail fast. Try it. If it doesn't work, version 1, move on. Try something else. Try something else. It's important to fail fast. Don't keep trying, beating a dead horse. Right? Sometimes it's important for you to know when to stop doing something and try something else. So that is very important mindset to have. Okay? My friends send these slides on so that maybe they can consume it, but I won't dwell on this a lot more. Now I'll come to the next section, which is in conclusion. We go to the next slide, which is about the ESET itself. Right? Community is very important for innovation. To talk to one another, ask questions, where you can come and learn in a very free environment where you're respectful to each other's ideas. You're able to learn from one another. So that's what your e-cell can do for you, your community can do for you. And I want to talk a little bit about community because it's very important. Okay? If you can go to the next slide. What do you see common here? Picture on the left and picture on the right. Group of people. What is different about this group of people? All are women. They are all women. Good. Good observation. That is common. What else? What are they doing? Sorry? They are doing a dance. How are they doing it? Doing it together. Teamwork. They are doing it all together. They all know what they are doing. They all know the dance. They all feel together as a group. Now come to this side in today's world. This is actually a set of tribal women in Visakhapatnam, which I took many years ago when I was there. So they're all part of a tribe. Right? These folks are also part of a tribe. Right? What is a tribe? A tribe is a set of people that you feel that you can connect with. How many of you heard of Firebase? Firebase. Right? It's one of the tech solutions offered in the Google Map. These are all Firebase experts from Google. They all know each other because Firebase binds them together. They know everything about Firebase. They are speakers. They are experts. They are also a tribe that knows about one thing together. If you are interested in entrepreneurship, or if you're keen to explore what entrepreneurship is, you should feel to be part of a tribe, part of a group. Find your kind. Find people that you have similar interests with. Work closely with them. As a community, it's important for you all to feel together. That's the most important thing for you to do as a community. You can go to the next slide. They all have a sense of belonging. I belong to this tribe. I'm a Firebase or a tech expert. I belong to this group. I'm part of Atria. I belong to the Atria. I feel like I'm part of this tribe because I'm an alumni of this institution. It's very important to have belonging. If you're going to contribute to the entrepreneurship cell, have a sense of belonging to it. Right? Feel free to be as one group, as a family. That's very, very important because that's how communities are built. If you go to the next slide. What's common here? First, this sense of belonging. Here, what are people doing? They're doing stretches, or somebody said yoga, gym exercise. Why do people go to the gym together? Often for motivation. My wife has been telling me to, go to the gym. And I tell her I need some motivation. Why don't you also come? So, and come to the right side. What is Stack Overflow? How many of you use it? Most engineers, when they are stuck, go to Stack Overflow and say, boss, I have this problem, how do I solve this? Right? That's a community that helps each other. This community is motivating and helping one another to stay focused on a goal. So in the tech world and otherwise, it's very important to empower each other, to support each other. So as an e-cell, that's the most important thing. You might have a lead or a set of people who organize it, but the constituents of the club are what make the club successful. So if you just come here for events, for listening to speakers, and then go back and not do much about it, don't come back. Don't come back to this e-cell. You have to be an active contributor to learn from it, to gain real value from these. You move to the next slide. You can get mentorship from one another. You can get access by being part of the e-cell. You can get access to experts, faculty, the ecosystem. But most importantly, you can motivate and empower each other. And that's one of the main purposes after belongingness, empowerment for any community. Right? And the last thing I'll talk about, we go to the next slide. Connected to computers and operating systems. Finally, somebody saw the technique. What is Linux known for? Open source? Somebody said open source. How does the open source work? It's free for all. Okay. Public access. Anybody can have open access. What else can you do with open source? Let's say you're a software developer. What can you contribute? You can contribute your code, right? Open source is collaboratively built software. So contribution is important. Right? So in any community, it's important to give. If you, let's say some of you may be experts, many of you may be really good at app development. Some of you are mechanical, maybe really good at design. Right? You might be really good at it. Coming together of these two things is important. So you must contribute your expertise wherever it's needed. So if you have you must contribute and support each other with your expertise, your skills. Not everybody will be a tech expert. I do not consider myself a tech expert when I passed out of the college. But I was good at other things that enabled things to come. If you click the next slide, and the right side, by the way, is they are all top contributors. Google has multiple product support forums, and these folks are, many of you have been part of forums where you go and ask questions, right? If you want to buy a new laptop, you might go on Reddit. How many of you use Reddit? A lot of you use Reddit. Reddit is a contribution platform where anyone can contribute their opinion. But the wisdom is in the crowd when you glean from it and buy a laptop. You go to click the next button. Contribution is the third and most important pillar of it. And if you go to the next slide. Belongingness as an e-cell, as a club. Empowerment, giving back as contribution. All these things is what going to make this club successful. Any one of you successful by your effort. And remember these keywords: collaboration, co-creation, owning together, give back. Be respectful to each other. That's very, very important. Respect each other's strengths. If someone is not good at something, uplift them in the club. Right? If someone has an idea, it might look stupid. Don't talk the ideas down. Encourage everything. Right? This is all important in a club like this. So I would just encourage you all to remember these three pillars of running a successful club or a company. Okay? And if you go to the next slide. I want to end with this, not yet, don't wait yet. Very often when I talk to students, they say that I'm not an entrepreneur. Like, I don't have that zeal. I'm very risk averse. I don't take risks. I want to finish my degree. I want to get a job. That's my game. That's fine. You are needed in the ecosystem. I've been supporting entrepreneurs who've gone on to raise $3-4 billion. But myself, I am not an entrepreneur. I don't have very strong entrepreneurial skills. I won't be able to do what a CEO does, which is look at everything from opening the doors to the company to closing it at the end and everything in between. I know my skills and my strength. So not all of us, and I mentioned this earlier, can be leaders. Many of us would be followers. And that's okay, because that is also leading a different thing. Right? So I want to end on this note that while we are all talking about e-cells, and entrepreneurship seems like few crazy, risk-taking people who might not prioritize their core curriculum, might do entrepreneurship. That's a stereotype. Get it out of your mind. Today, most jobs, more than your regular services jobs like Infosys, Wipro, CTS, Cognizant, all of these are startups. Right? So in order for you to be having the startup mindset, you need to get into this mode as without engineers coming out of Atria who can join a startup, that founder will not be successful. So you are all whoever's thinking that I'm not an entrepreneur, but do I have a role to play in this entrepreneurship? Absolutely yes. And that's what I will end on this note. It's a really interesting video. Some of you might have seen this. I'll let you watch it and then conclude.
If you've learned a lot about leadership and making a movement, then let's watch a movement happen start to finish in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand alone and look ridiculous. But what he's doing is so simple, it's almost instructional. This is key. You must be easy to follow. Now here comes the first follower with a crucial role. He publicly shows everyone else how to follow. Notice how the leader embraces him as an equal. So it's not about the leader anymore. It's about them, plural. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. So it takes guts to be the first follower. You stand out and you crave ridicule yourself. Being a first follower is an underappreciated form of leadership. The first follower transforms a bone nut into a leader. If the leader is the flint, the first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut, and it's not two nuts. 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers, because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point, and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, there's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. And over the next minute, you'll see the rest who prefer to stay part of the crowd, because eventually they'd be ridiculed for not joining. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how a movement is made. So let's recap what we've learned. If you are a version of the shirtless dancing guy, all alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals, making everything clearly about the movement, not you. Be public, be easy to follow. But the biggest lesson here, did you catch it? Leadership is over-glorified. Yes, it started with the shirtless guy, and he'll get all the credit, but you saw what really happened. It was the first follower that transformed a lone nut into a leader. There's no movement without the first follower. See, we're told that we all need to be leaders, but that would be really ineffective. The best way to make a movement, if you really care, is to courageously follow and show others how to follow. When you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first person to stand up and join in. If you've learned a lot,
Go to the next slide. That was beautiful, right? This is the story of how movements happen, which is the story of how startups actually get off the ground. Somebody has a bold idea and decides to take a bet on it, follow it. But that individual might seem to get all the glory. Wow, he's an entrepreneur, he's a risk taker. Sometimes it's actually romanticized. The idea of entrepreneurship is romanticized. But no entrepreneurs or no solutions can exist without people who are willing to take bets on the idea. So whether you are the founder of the idea or a group of founders, whether you started the e-cell or any club, it can only be successful when you decide to follow and add to it. So the first followers principle is very, very important. And very soon, everyone will get on that movement and it will be beautiful and we will see success. Okay. So on that note, I would say congrats once again to for the inauguration of the e-cell. I'm extremely happy. I'm happy to contribute in any way I can. And looking forward to many of you nurturing that itch, that idea, and many of you forming teams as first followers to take bets and move together. And congratulations to the college and thank you for the opportunity.
First of all, I'd like to thank our chief guest, Mr. Paul sir, for such an amazing presentation. And you enriched us with a lot of knowledge about mentorship and leadership and everything. Thank you, sir. Now we'll start our felicitation ceremony. So I would like to call our yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask.
Yeah, question. See, who is that first man? Who's that board person? First question. There we have an entrepreneur. Yeah. Oh, great question. So, when you come out of do a BTech degree, people think you can do coding. But I could do HTML, CSS. That was the extent of my skills. The first year at Google, I struggled. I honestly struggled because I was working on a team called web spam engineering. Like today, you see Google search results, it's all clean. Let me take another example. Google, in Gmail, you have a spam folder, right? Mail automatically gets go there, and there's a AI engine that actually catches the spam. So I was working on training that AI engine, by doing a lot of investigation. So I didn't enjoy it. I did it, I learned it, I didn't enjoy it much. But I loved working with people. Like I loved putting the projects together. I loved bringing new innovative ideas on how we can do the process better and so on. But over the first 2 years, I learned that I like doing the projects, working with people a lot more. So I realized that my skill was more in the people side of things and not in this. It's very hard for you to know it right now. Unless you do, you won't know. Unless you try, you don't know if you're good or not. They say you miss every shot that you didn't take, right? So I tried many things, and through that process, it's like a machine learning for myself. I tried different things, and finally I found something that works for me. And I realized I like working with people. So then I thought I'd do an MBA. I did. My employer allowed me to pursue an MBA while I was working. So I got my MBA from IIM Calcutta while I was in school. And then several years later, I tried to double down on this people and projects aspect. And I even got Stanford Project Management certification by spending 6 months there. So it was a discovery journey. In retrospect, it looks like a beautiful journey, but I was confused. It was hard, but I realized after some time that that's what I like. So that's how I realized myself. So allow yourself time. Try everything. I think that's very important. Don't follow somebody else's journey. You try everything. Who's the first follower? Any questions?
So what is a company like Google? What can it change in skills and engineering?
Okay, the question is, what does a company like Google want from their engineering, from the skills, right? And I have done interviews to onboard people at Google, and it's very simple. We look at 3 qualities. Right? One is called general cognitive ability, which is the ability to do problem solving. Right? So we look at people who are generally inherently curious to solve problems. So if you are an expert in 10 technologies versus if you are an expert in 1 or 2 but can actually solve problems, that's a more desirable skill. So a list of certifications and achievements, while it's good, we only look for ability to solve problems. Right? What's your thinking? How do you think through? We have a set of questions that the interview will kind of help navigate. So cognitive ability, problem solving is one. Second is leadership, and by leadership, we don't look for that, I led the college fest or I led a club. Those are all important qualities. But we look for inherently how you approach problems. Often when we do interviews, people glorify themselves. I had this problem, I solved it, I came up with this. It was all about me, I, myself. That's a bad quality. We look for teamwork, we look for how even a simple thing like leading a club, contributing a club, nurturing a project through the e-cell. These are all great leadership qualities to demonstrate. So when we look for engineers, we look for initiative, which means that you took the initiative of working on an idea. Right? Maybe it wasn't successful. It doesn't matter if it succeeded or failed, but how the process was. That's very important. So that's the second thing, which is showing leadership in whatever you do. And the third thing is something we call googliness, which is just it's hard to explain. But we look for people who are kind, who are collaborative, who love to generally good to work with. There are a set of questions that help us determine that. But the third one is a little bit of the magic factor that we look for. But the first 2 are pretty much standard for any good company. Right? So we would love for people that I work with to have these qualities. So the technical skills is one thing, but what really gets you the role is some of these softer elements. And often people ignore that. Showing initiative is one of the major things. And comfort with ambiguity means, are you comfortable with ambiguous questions? Are you able to think on your feet? All those things will only get honed when you build and contribute to activities like entrepreneurship, any other clubs. So it's where sharpening your skills. It might look like it's hard for you to do a push yourself to do it. It's going to help you with your interview at the least. Who's next? Anybody from this side? Okay. Any questions? Fine.
So if you get a chance to get and do a startup, what would be your
Oh God. Yeah, what's my moonshot? Right now, I would say, clearly, I am so excited about deep tech. But deep tech applications in healthcare, especially cancer, is something that I'm really passionate about. And also, diseases like Alzheimer's and brain health. So, I'm very keenly following that space. And another one that I would love to have a meaningful contribution to is sustainability and climate change. I think these are really, really important because we are now at a, so there's this idea of called power of compounding, which is if you keep investing money in something for a certain period of time, suddenly you will have a huge corpus. So many of you might have seen Ankur Warikoo videos on how to do investing. Yeah, so it's all the power of compounding. Now, technology-wise, we are at a place where technology allows very fast innovation, even in the AI space. So I'm excited about healthcare and sustainability and climate. So if at all I do that, I'll probably jump into this. Good. Any other questions? Anything about ESL? Anything else? There are no stupid questions, guys. Anything simple also is fine. I'm happy to answer.
Sir, how's your life being the head of the accelerator? How's your life going as a people and pros and cons?
How is life growing
Yes, sir.
as a Google employee?
Pros and cons.
It seems like an interview question. No, for sure. I'm extremely overwhelmed with feeling of gratitude, which is thankfulness where we have started to where I am. I think as a company, it's given me a lot. Like I said, I just completed 18 years, which is like an entire adult life. And I had the opportunity to try different things. So companies like Google offer you various opportunities. So if you're joined on one team, you don't have to retire on that team. So I have been on multiple projects trying different things at Google, and I've had the opportunities to do that. So that has been a huge learning experience. I've got to work in different geography. So I started in Hyderabad, and I worked in the US, I worked in Ireland, I worked in Southeast Asia, India, back to back. So that has been a huge learning experience. Once you start, opportunities will come your way, especially companies like this. So I have had an amazing time. Another thing somebody told me, and I think I will probably end on that note, is like how to approach a career. Right? And I've got my second decade as a career. So I asked this question to somebody, and it's important to have mentors, by the way, like somebody you can talk to and who can advise you. Try to build that, right? So this person in my company told me, like, approach your career in 3 decades. It takes a long time to do career, to build a career. And we live in an instant generation. Like everything we want success in an instant. You see somebody posting something on social media, or I see regularly news items that somebody got placed in Google for like 100 crores. I mean, I don't know. And I'm just joking about it. But we have this whole FOMO feeling. Right? We all know what is FOMO. You feel like missing out, something wrong with me. Like I'm not like that. Trust me, not everybody gets to do that. And so careers are this advice I conclude short. Careers, approach a career in 3-decade run. Your first 10 years, extremely confusing, lot of self-doubt. You don't know what you're doing. After you pass out, you don't even know if you get placed. Do I have the ability to find a job on my own? Am I a technical guy or a people guy? What am I? That is normal state of being. As you enter into a job, and you will get into some job, by the time you conclude your first decade, try everything. Try different startups, different jobs, try different ideas. If you're in one company, try different kinds of projects. So by the end of your 10th year, you need to know what is that one thing that you're good at. Technically you're good, become a tech expert. If you're a people person, maybe you go down the management path or something else. Your second decade, get to the top of whatever it is you're committed to. I am committed to working with startups and people in an outward facing role. I'm approaching the end of my second decade. I want to be at the top of this game when I finish this of my career. And I'm trying to work towards it. And they say the third decade, just sit back and relax and enjoy the benefits of your expertise. It's good being many things. You could be a consultant, an expert, an advisor, a board. So that's a good way to have careers take long time. Jobs are different from careers. Job is like fighting a battle. Career is like a war. It consists of multiple battles. So just approach it in a long-term way. Sorry, very philosophical answer to a simple question, but I thought I'd have that. I think in the interest of time. Thank you very much.
Now we would like to felicitate all the universities present here, starting with our chief guest. So I'd like to call our principal Ashwin Mahan to felicitate Mr. Paul with the bouquet. Now I would like to call our coordinators of ESEL to felicitate all the other faculties and students.
So, good afternoon everyone. I'd like to thank Paul sir for giving us amazing and informative speech about innovation, startup ideas and Excel. So, on the occasion of our entrepreneurship cell, you all must be wondering what exactly is the mission and vision of our ECEL. So, I'm going to list a few missions of how exactly our ECEL is going to work. So, ESAL aims to educate and inform students about entrepreneurship, startups, and small business management. This includes organizing workshops, seminars, and guest lectures from successful entrepreneurs and industry experts. And the club aims to help students to cultivate a startup business idea, teach them basic strategies like estimating costs and writing a business plan, and it helps them to network their ideas towards sources of funding. Now, as we belong to the Generation Z, our ESEL also aims to reflect the evolving landscape of entrepreneurship and Gen Z's unique interests, combining technology, innovation, social responsibility, and a commitment to making a difference in the world. And last but not the least, our vision of our ESEL is to encourage our beloved members to develop and refine the business ideas through hackathons and workshops, and also organize regular networking, pitch competitions, and startup showcases to help students with like-minded individual and potential investors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Paula, Kaushik sir, Aishwarya ma'am, for this opportunity. And as you guys are aware, our ESEL is collaborated with IIT Bombay, and we also had our first event pitch deck, where many people presented their ideas, and we already did submit of 5 ideas to IIT Bombay. So they're gonna be participating in Eureka. It's a national level fest. So in future, you're gonna have many events like this lined up. Not only events, workshops, expert speaker sessions, and tasks. And not only this, we also will be rolling out a form today, and you can be need members, and we need people from different domains, and you're gonna have a working office bearer selections too, like corporate relations, public outreach members. So make sure you fill the forms if you are interested. We'll get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj. Today we are deeply honored by the presence of Mr. Paul Ravindranath, the Program Manager, Developer Relations and head of Google Accelerator Program India. His presence here is like a stroke of artistry of canvas. Mr. Ravindranath's contribution to the world of technology and entrepreneurship are truly remarkable, and his words today have ignited the spark of creativity in all of us. We thank Mr. Ravindranath for his precious time and insight, making this event truly extraordinary. We would also like to express our heartfelt gratitude to our principal Aishwarya ma'am, department heads, and all the students who have gathered here today. The principal guidance and dedication of department heads have shaped our institution, and the enthusiastic presence of our students fuel our collective aspiration. In unity, we create a tapestry of inspiration, innovation, or success. Thank you to all for being a part of this memorable occasion. May your days ahead be as promising as our shared journey. Thank you. I would like to call upon our dignitaries for just a formal inaugural ceremony of each other.
And after this, we have a group photo as a team.
Everyone just come together for a group.
Atria. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Atria.
Thank you so much.